Some people steal to survive, but what happens when survival starts to cost you your soul? Emilia was born into a storm. Her mother, Joy, endured a pregnancy so grueling it nearly cost her her sight and her strength. Her father, John, was a shadow of a man, acting more like a frantic assistant than a husband. When Emilia finally arrived, she didn't bring peace. She brought a cry that never seemed to end. The strain shattered the home. Divorce came first, then cancer claimed Joy, and finally the state claimed Emilia. In the revolving door of foster homes, Emilia learned a cold truth: nothing stays. Since life stole her family, she decided she would steal life back. What started as a survival tactic became an addiction. Morning, noon, or night, if it wasn't bolted down, it belonged to Emilia. She didn't care about the value, she cared about the act. Taking made her feel powerful. Then came one rainy afternoon. Emilia spotted an old woman sitting on a park bench, clutching a small, tarnished silver locket. It looked expensive. Emilia sat beside her, waited for a distraction, and with the grace of a ghost, slipped the locket into her pocket. As she walked away, a strange sensation washed over her. She felt heavy, not emotionally, but physically. By the time she reached her apartment, her legs felt like lead. She pulled the locket out to inspect it, but as her fingers touched the metal, she didn't see jewelry. She saw a flash of a young soldier in a uniform, which was the old woman's late husband. She felt the woman's grief, her loneliness, and the exact moment she had received that gift 50 years ago. Then and there, Emilia realized that she hadn't simply stolen an object, she had inherited the weight of its history. Every stolen item in her room began to vibrate with the energy of its rightful owner. The stolen watch on her desk ticked with the anxiety of the businessman she took it from. A stolen ring burned with the memory of a broken engagement. The noise was deafening. The survival skill she prided herself on had turned her home into a prison of other people's ghosts. She couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat, and for the first time, she felt the pain she had caused. She realized that by filling her life with things that weren't hers, she had left no room for a version of herself that was real. Emilia did not only stop stealing, she began the grueling process of unstealing. She spent weeks returning items, leaving them on doorsteps, or at lost and found desks. With every item returned, the physical weight lifted. The final item was the silver locket. She found the old woman in the park, still sitting on the same bench, looking lost. Emilia didn't hide this time. She sat down and handed it back. "I found this," Emilia lied softly, her voice trembling. The woman clutched it to her chest, her eyes filling with tears. "You didn't just find a piece of metal, dear. You found my heart." Emilia walked away that day with empty hands. But for the first time in her life, her heart felt entirely full. Years later, that single moment of honesty changed the trajectory of her life. Emilia became someone different. The hands that once lived to take were now dedicated to building. She took a job as a counselor, working specifically with children in the foster care system, kids who were exactly as she once was, lost, confused, alone. She refrained from lecturing them through a lens of judgment. Instead, she spoke from the deep scars of her own experience. She turned her life into a living classroom, teaching them that while taking might fill a shelf, only giving can fill a soul. Whenever she encountered a child reaching for something that wasn't theirs, she would sit them down and whisper the hard-earned truth she once lacked. Stealing may feel like survival in the moment, but it is a hollow victory. Every time you take from another, you lose a piece of yourself. You believe you are gaining the world, but you are actually forfeiting your peace, your character, and your future. Stealing may feel like survival, but it slowly steals you. Emilia realized that her survival skills had been her greatest cage. By choosing to offer her time and her empathy to these children, she finally owned something that no one could ever strip away: a life of purpose. She proved that true resilience isn't measured by how much you can extract from the world to survive, but by what you can build for yourself so that taking is no longer necessary. Emilia thought she was surviving, but in reality, she was slowly losing herself. And maybe, just maybe, there are parts of her story we see in our own lives too. So tell me, what did this story teach you? I'll be reading every single comment. Subscribe if you want more stories that don't just entertain, but transform the way you see life. This is just the beginning.